At the beginning of this week, I made a video on my channel discussing the options I could take with the Yamal Super that I won last weekend. Do I sell him? Do I trade him? Do I keep him? And in today's video, we do have a breakthrough on what I ended up doing with that card. So if you do enjoy the video, please do leave it a like. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. If you're completely new to Sorare, there is a link in the description that will help you get some free market credits once you purchase your first 5 cards. And without further ado, let's get into things. So last week I was lucky enough to get my hands on this Celebration Edition Lamine Yamal Super Rare card, 8 of 10. It looks like the only Celebration Edition that they're going to release in Super Rare. I think they've finished doing Celebration Editions right now, so he is literally a 1 of 1 without being a unique in that sense, because of course he's a Super Rare. But as you can see, he isn't owned by me anymore. Last night I was busy in the Discord DMs chatting with Team Bambi, who is a huge Sorare account. I mean, he has a unique Yamal. Do I need to say any more? Like, the guy's an incredible Sorare player with an insane gallery. But yeah, yesterday I did get a deal done with him. It looks like he brought in Szczesny as well 7 hours ago. I didn't know that, but regardless, we ended up getting rid of our Lamine Yamal Super Rare. Now, in the video that I made a few days ago, discussing the options of what I could do with him. Obviously, I could trade him away, I could sell him, or I could of course keep him. And a lot of you guys in the comments were in agreement in that it's probably smart for me to get rid of this card, right? Because ultimately, my gallery doesn't really warrant a Yamal Super Rare, especially in season. I don't play Super Rare in season champion. I play under 23 Super Rare. I play rare in season champion, but I don't play Super Rare in season champion. So it was one of them where, like, unless I was going to go out and buy a Super Rare champion in season team to play with Yamal for the next 15 games, because that's how much domestic utility he has left in the in-season, then I was in a situation where I was basically forced to play him in under 23, which is fine. Could I extract a bit more value out of the in-season element of him by trading him away? And that's kind of what I've, hopefully done in this video. And of course, I'll be showing you guys the trade and how it all went and what cards, or what the cards I got in kind of do for me. And yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy decision. I mean, in some ways it was, in some ways it wasn't. Like, I'm glad I didn't get too attached to the card. Like, I've only owned him for a week. I think that's a little bit better maybe than like me keeping it for, let's say, a month, where it gets a little bit harder. The separation anxiety maybe kicks in potentially. And like, yeah, I didn't want it to get that far down the line, because then I'm eating into the in-season utility. Like, Team Bambi has in-season Barcelona cards at Super Rare and at Unique, obviously. I wouldn't say he needs this card, but it does really help him because the fact that Super Rares are going to 4 and 1, as in like you need 4 in season and 1, or you can use 1 classic. I'm just trying to find his Barca collection. Here we go. So he has 3% now after getting the Yamal in. He's got Szczesny, he's got Peña, Inigo Martinez, Balde, Koundé, Fermin Lopez, Rafinha, Ferran, Olmo, and of course, Lamine. Yeah, not an easy decision to make, but one that I think my gallery needed. I didn't need the in-season Yamal. But that doesn't mean to say I didn't need a Yamal. Now, this is what I got in the trade as far as cards go. 5 cards, 2 in-season challenger cards in Livakovic and Hans Vanaken, the Lord himself. Kai Wagner, of course, MLS defender, one of the best really if he stays. Hopefully he's staying. I got Brandon Nozawa, who's a keeper in the J League under 23, more importantly. And then we still managed to keep Lamine Yamal Super Rare in the gallery. We have the classic version alongside the other 4 cards that we got. And we did get a little bit of ETH on top as well, as you can see in the trade here, 0.15. To make up the difference. So yeah, I'm obviously over the moon with how it's gone. I think it's benefited Bambi in that he'll probably end up yielding from that Yamal in-season Super Rare for the 15 odd games left plus Champions League to the end of the season. He plays a really good La Liga lineup every week, and like I said, with the fact that it's going 4 to 1 in season to classic in Super Rare, I'm not going to say needs the amount, but it definitely alleviates a lot of pressure for him, sort of choosing who that classic card will be. And for me to get in a classic Yamal, where I was only going to play him in under 23 Super Rare anyway, really, it's just a no-brainer. Obviously, he doesn't get season bonus for the next 15 weeks, like he's a classic card. But I'm not really bothered because on the other side, I've got 4 super rare cards plus a bit of ETH, which will just, like I said, massively elevate my gallery in a couple of different ways. Like Nozawa, for example, under 23 until 2027 as a super rare under 23 keeper is massive for me because the J League comes back next weekend. So if I go over to sorare data, I go to game week 54. I think I might have put a team in already. No, I didn't. I put a challenger team in. Like, the J League's back literally next week. So I'll have 2 goalies to choose from, from game week 54 onwards. Layson and Nozawa. Bursic unfortunately lost his job. So, yeah, he's not a starting keeper anymore. But, yeah, having 2 options now, or having 2 options again, because I did with Bursic before he got dropped after his 7 here, error led to goal, is just going to alleviate a lot of pressure. And once Belgium, of course, but once the European seasons are kind of done and the summer kicks in, Nozawa will be playing throughout that. So I don't really need to buy an MLS under 23 keeper. Not that I really wanted to anyway, but Nozawa scored really well last year. That's not to say he's going to do the exact same this season with Tokyo, but I'd fancy him to do similarly. Like I'm not saying it's going to be the exact, but he can peak, he can score really well, and I wouldn't think that really changes too much compared to me buying a Chris Brady, for example, who I own in rare, but I just don't think I can really do it to myself in super rare. So having him and the fact that he's under 23 until 2027 is huge. Like, absolutely massive for me. And yeah, like I said, alleviates a lot of that super rare pressure. And I can play 2 lineups if I want to every weekend. Now that there's going to be no divisions, I don't need to worry about getting relegated. I can go out and put out 2, solid enough under 23 lineups alongside, Lamine, to where, yeah, my under 23 stuff is just a lot more powerful from like a goalkeeper's perspective. Yeah, that's him out the way, and under 23's out the way, I guess. Kai Wagner, of course, like I said, MLS, one of the best defenders in the league, if he stays. Obviously, the European transfer window is kind of done. There's a few leagues that maybe could come in and swoop in, potentially. But yeah, a card that, like, I couldn't even dream of owning, a couple of years ago, like, ridiculous. If he can kind of replicate this. Now, granted, Philly don't look as good maybe this year on paper, so there is definitely that to contend with. I'm not saying he's going to be, like, this good, but I'm sure you'll be half decent, if he still takes set pieces, for example. And that really helps my MLS Classic lineups, basically, which I've built up over this off season. I brought in a few classic super rares. Paintsill being one. I brought in a Mickey Yamane. I've brought in a Brad Guzan as a keeper. I did bring in Lucho Acosta super rare, but it looks like he's off, so that'll be a bit of a sore one to take. But yeah, a couple of Shambows. I've got a Zanka. Just got a bit of depth. Brian White, the Vancouver GOAT, of course. So yeah, I'm not saying this in an elite MLS setup yet, but I think there's probably almost an elite 5 there, given fixtures every week. I can probably wangle something. Like I said, I don't really have much outside of Brad Guzan in goal, so it's going to be one classic lineup probably, and then like whatever good super rare or classic good super rare that I'm not going to use for that week, I'll hopefully have an in-season MLS team, once cards come out. So yeah, Wagner really fills that gap for me. Not that there was a massive one there, but it's a nice to have, right? Like, it's a really nice to have. And then we get on to the 2 in-season challenger players. One being Dominik Livakovic, obviously in-season keeper for Fenerbahce. He is injured right now. He is back in training, so I don't know when exactly he's sort of due back to play. Let's call it a couple of weeks, maybe. Bambi's gallery is insane. I can kind of go through it. I can kind of go through it now, really, if you want. But he has a lot of super rares, but most of them are in collections, and he doesn't like want to trade or sell those, for example, which is more than fair enough. So the cards like a lot. Well, basically anything La Liga was off bounds. Bundesliga and Prem was kind of fair game, he said. But I'm not really playing Bundesliga and Prem at Super Rare. Obviously, if they're under 23, then fine. But like his Wirtz is in a collection. His Xavi Simons is in a collection. I could have maybe asked for this Samu potentially because he's not, he's up for sale. Players like Watkins, I might have been able to go for. But it was one of them where like, I'm not saying it was slim pickings, but as far as like what my gallery needs, like, there wasn't a ton of things that, like, made a ton of sense for me specifically. Because I only play in-season challenge. Like, the only super comp I play in season is Challenger. So that's kind of where I was, mainly looking to kind of, get a few cards in off him. I was looking at, there was a Siolis, or however you pronounce it, the Greek winger from Club Brugge. He has him in Classic. I don't know whether we'll be able to find it yet. But yeah, I almost kind of asked for him instead of maybe a Livakovic or something. But I opted not to just because I wanted the in-season... have a couple more in-season challenger cards because I have a couple already, but to add these two in there, goalkeeper being like a really important position. I only have one in-season challenger super keeper right now, and he isn't that good. He's fine. Like he's actually outperformed for me more than I could even imagine, really. But I'm never confident going into a weekend with him. Just put it that way. So yeah, like I said, he's done amazing for me. But to have another one in there, so where's he too big? Yeah, Big Thomas. So yeah, I only paid 180 quid for him, and he's the amount he's won back is probably ridiculous if I went to look at it, because he won me Challenger Super in season a couple of months ago, or helped win, sorry. So yeah, I've had him for a while, and he's been great. Like I said, like his scores are probably better than Livakovic's on paper, but you've got the in-season utility, and of course they're still in the Europa League, I think, Fenerbahce or the Conference League. I'm pretty sure it's Europa, so there is that maybe a bit of midweek utility for me. I'm not like that wasn't the reason why I got him. Obviously, he's Croatian keeper as well. That does play into it for me at Super Rare, because I do have a lot of Welsh cards, and I don't know what's going to happen with Danny Ward. So having an international keeper playing in Challenger and in season and plays midweek, like you can't really ask for too much more in that type of region, in my opinion. So yeah, he comes in. Hopefully, he comes back fit and firing. And then of course we end on the Lord himself. I have him in Classic Rare. I've enjoyed owning him this season. I have his 18-19 card, like his first ever mint. And like, how can you not want a Hans Van Aken in-season card? Like, absolute boss. Has been around for donkey's years now on this game. And yeah, an absolute player. Like, start of the season, he was going for these sort of numbers. Obviously dropped off a little bit now because, in-season prices are going to come down, right? There's just less utility. But again, plays in midweeks. I'm not necessarily saying that was the reason why. But to have him on weekends, like to make my challenger teams on a given weekend much stronger is really important. I was just trying to check the game week. So it'd be game week 52 this weekend. Like, unfortunately, I won't get to use Livakovic this weekend because I think he's still injured. But had I, if I could, I'd obviously would. But I don't think I'll be able to get have the chance to do that. A team like this, I can live with. It's a solid enough team. Yeah, obviously Livakovic won't play, so I'll have to play Big Thomas, who plays against Mauro Jr. Doesn't look as good at that point with them playing away to PSV. But just to have that option of like flipping between keepers is just so nice, because when one week they don't have a good fixture, the other one might, and it's just alleviates a lot of that pressure. And as you might notice, I do have another in-season Club Brugge player, which is Jashari, another midfielder, so a little bit of a collection bonus as well already on big hands. I'm close to getting 2% already. I'm only, 30 points off. I would only be 20, but I listed Jashari yesterday. Don't ask me why, I just did. So I might need to pick up one more Club Brugge Super card there to maybe get that to 2%, because yeah, that'd be a nice to have for sure. Another percentage on Jashari and Van Aken. And then we end on, like I mentioned, the ETH. Like, there is a little bit of ETH there as well on top to kind of round it off. And yeah, I think overall I've done pretty well. Like, I'd like to think that having these 5 cards plus the ETH is going to benefit me way more than it would if I had the in-season Yamal just kind of rotting in under 23 Super Rare. Like, I wouldn't say the Classic is rotting there because I can't play him in it. I could play him in season, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot more difficult to do that. The way you look at, the way I'm looking at it is, yeah, there's 15 weeks left of Yamal Super Rare. I can't yield enough in that time to warrant keeping him. And so cashing in on him now turns into this, basically. These 4 cards with a bit of ETH, and of course the Classic. It's a complete no-brainer for me. I also think it's a bit of a no-brainer for Bambi as well, who doesn't really, without speaking for him, doesn't really care too much about Super Rares. I know it's a nice place to be in for him, but you know what I mean? Like, he obviously really likes playing in-season Super Rare. But as far as the Classics, and I know these are a couple of in-season cards, he's not like the biggest, fan of Challenger, I don't think. He's more like La Liga from what he told me on Discord. So yeah, it's one of them where I think it's benefited both of us. But on one hand, it's probably benefited me more because my gallery's smaller and I could do with this type of, super rare, card injections more than obviously he could. So, or does need. So yeah, I'm over the moon. It fills a ton of gaps for me that I had sort of glaring at me, especially the under 23 super rare keeper. Kai Wagner's a nice to have. Like, I didn't need a Wagner, but if I don't have one and I want to play MLS and he stays, like, it's a big card to have in defense, because yeah, it's very hard to predict who the good defenders are going to be in the MLS. outside of him and maybe Alba. Of course, like I said, if Wagner stays. So yeah, that's massive. And then of course the 2 in-season challenger cards. Going back to the Jashari, like why I listed him yesterday, I was thinking in my head before I even did this trade, before this was even an option for me, I was thinking, do I just come out a challenger super rare? Like I've kind of done what I can do already in challenger, if that makes sense. Like I want to kind of, this is a kind of bit off topic, and I've said kind of a few times there, which is annoying, but I just wanted to check how much Big Thomas has won in cash rewards for me this season, because like I kind of slagged him off, but I know he's been unbelievable for me. Yeah, look at that. So gaming yield nearly £4,000. I paid 180 quid for him. So like what I was trying to get at there was yesterday before I brought in these two, brought in Vanaken and Livakovic. I was kind of thinking in my head like, am I done with Challenger Super A in season? Like, can I do much more? I know there's X amount of games left, and I could still win X amount of cash or whatever. But like, I've kind of not completed it, but I've made way more than I thought I would have with the level of card I have. So adding these two in obviously amplifies, or you'd like to think increases my chances of winning more. Let's say. But yeah, my thinking was just like, yeah, should I sell out of a couple of these in-season Challenger Supers that I have and go even harder maybe in MLS was kind of my thinking. It seems like everyone's selling up for MLS right now, so maybe I was just jumping on the bandwagon. Yeah, I don't know, I just had a bit of an epiphany in the night, and I was like, let me have a look at who owns these classic Yamals and see if their galleries would fit an in-season one, and I honestly think Bambi was kind of the only one that this would work with, so yeah, I know I've rambled on for the last, 18 minutes. Wow. Sorry you had to endure that. But yeah, I'm really relieved is probably the best word that I've got this done. Less pressure on me now to make that super rare, celebration edition Yamal work for these next 15 weeks, and I can kind of just enjoy, the fact that I have a variety of cards that that fit and fill a lot of gaps that my gallery kind of had. So I'm buzzing with it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I kind of know what's probably going to be said because yeah, a lot of you guys said in the video I made earlier this week that I should basically get rid of him, and I've listened. Okay, I've listened to you. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in general. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great week, and I shall see you guys in the next one.